year is 1939, and the shadows of war loom over Europe. With the German invasion of Poland, World War II erupts, and the Nazi regime begins its systematic oppression of the Jewish population. Krakow becomes a focal point of this brutal campaign, as Polish Jews are forcibly relocated to the city. Among them, the Jewish community faces unimaginable suffering, their lives upended by the relentless tide of hatred and violence. Amid this chaos, Oskar Schindler, Liam Neeson, a businessman with grand ambitions, arrives in Krakow. Schindler, a member of the Nazi Party, sees an opportunity amidst the war, a chance to profit from the cheap labor provided by the Jewish population. He quickly ingratiates himself with the German military and SS officials, showering them with bribes to secure a factory for the production of enamelware, primarily for the German army. Despite his outward confidence, Schindler lacks the expertise to run such an enterprise efficiently. Itzhak Stern, Ben Kingsley, a Jewish accountant and a key figure within the local Judenrat, Jewish council, becomes Schindler's unlikely partner. Stern, with his deep connections to the Jewish business community, provides the necessary funds and expertise to get the factory up and running. In return, a portion of the factory's output is traded on the black market, ensuring the survival of many within the ghetto. As Schindler's factory begins operations, he earns the admiration of the Nazi officials, reveling in his new status as Herr Director. Behind the scenes, however, it is Stern who manages the day-to-day operations, ensuring that the factory functions smoothly. Understanding the dire situation of his people, Stern convinces Schindler to employ Jewish workers instead of Poles, arguing that they are cheaper to hire, as their wages are paid directly to the Reich. For the Jewish workers, employment at Schindler's factory offers a rare chance of survival. By working in the factory, they are classified as essential to the war effort, a status that spares them from deportation to concentration camps or worse. As the war progresses, the Nazi regime's grip tightens. Amon Goth, Rafe Fiennes, a sadistic SS officer, is sent to Krakow with orders to oversee the construction of a labor camp in Pszcz, near the city. The horrors of the Holocaust intensify as Goth orchestrates the liquidation of the Krakow ghetto. Soldiers storm the overcrowded quarters, ruthlessly executing anyone deemed unfit for work, the elderly, the sick, and those who resist. From a distant hill, Schindler witnesses the massacre. The brutality he observes profoundly affects him, planting the seeds of a moral transformation. However, to protect his interests, Schindler maintains a cordial relationship with Goth, using bribes and flattery to stay in the SS's good graces. As the Pszcz labor camp is completed, Schindler negotiates with Goth to establish a sub-camp for his workers, a move driven by both business interests and a growing desire to shield them from the camp's brutal guards. This sub-camp becomes a sanctuary of sorts, where Schindler's employees find some respite from the horrors of Pszcz. Yet, the war continues its relentless march, and soon, orders come from Berlin to dismantle the Pszcz camp and ship the remaining Jews to Auschwitz, where the final solution is being enacted with merciless efficiency. Desperate to save his workers from certain death, Schindler approaches Goth with a proposition. to transfer his factory and its Jewish laborers to his hometown of Zwickau-Brünnlitz in Moravia, far from the killing centers of occupied Poland. Goth, ever the pragmatist, agrees, but at a steep price. Schindler must pay a fee for each worker he wishes to take with him. Thus begins the creation of Schindler's List, a roster of names that for those listed, represents a fragile thread of hope. The list, meticulously compiled by Schindler and Stern, becomes a lifeline for many Jews in Pesce. For those who make it onto the list, it is the difference between life and death. Among the names is Helen Hirsch, a young woman who has endured unspeakable abuse as Goth's housekeeper. Goth, torn between his twisted affection for Helen and his loyalty to the Nazi cause, ultimately wagers her life in a high-stakes card game with Schindler. Schindler wins, and Helen is spared a grim fate, joining the others on the train to Brünnlitz. While the men from Schindler's List arrive safely at the new factory, a cruel twist of fate sends the train carrying the women and children to Auschwitz. The women are subjected to a nightmarish ordeal, believing they are about to be gassed when they are herded into what appears to be a gas chamber. Instead, only water flows from the showers, a brief reprieve in a place synonymous with death. Meanwhile, Schindler races to Auschwitz, determined to save the women. He bribes Rudolf Hoss, the camp's commandant, with a cache of diamonds, securing the release of the women and children. Even then, Schindler faces one final challenge as SS officers attempt to withhold several children from boarding the train. Schindler's persistence pays off, and he ensures that all the children are reunited with their mothers. Once the women and children reach the relative safety of Brünnlitz, Schindler implements strict controls within the factory. The Nazi guards are forbidden from executing or abusing the workers, and Schindler even allows the observance of the Sabbath. His wealth, amassed during the early years of the war, is now spent bribing officials and ensuring the survival of his workers. In a poignant moment, Schindler surprises his wife in church, vowing that she is the only woman in his life, despite his past infidelities. She joins him at the factory, supporting him in his mission. As the war nears its end, Schindler's resources dwindle, and he finds himself nearly bankrupt. The German army's surrender signals the end of the war in Europe, but for Schindler, it marks the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with uncertainty and danger. As a member of the Nazi Party and a self-described profiteer of slave labor, Schindler is now a target for retribution. He dismisses the Nazi guards, urging them to return to their families, and prepares to flee with his wife. Before leaving, Schindler's workers present him with a letter, declaring that he is not a criminal in their eyes, and a gold ring engraved with a Talmudic quotation, "He who saves one life saves the world entire." Schindler, overwhelmed with emotion, regrets that he could not save more lives. Disguised as a Polish prisoner, he and his wife escape under the cover of night. The next morning, the Schindler Jews awaken to a new dawn. A Soviet soldier arrives, announcing their liberation by the Red Army. Free at last, the survivors begin their journey to a nearby town, searching for food and contemplating the enormity of what they have endured. The film closes with a powerful epilogue, revealing the post-war fates of the key figures. Schindler is honored as a righteous person by Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, where he plants a tree on the Avenue of the Righteous. Goth, captured by American forces, is tried and executed for his crimes against humanity. In a poignant closing scene, the film shifts to the present day, where the surviving Schindler Jews, now elderly, visit Schindler's grave in Israel. One by one, they place stones on his grave, a Jewish tradition honoring the dead. The actors who portrayed them in the film accompany them, creating a bridge between past and present. The scene underscores the lasting impact of Schindler's actions, as the descendants of those he saved now number in the thousands. The final shot shows a man, identified only by his hand, placing a pair of roses on Schindler's grave, a silent tribute to a man who, in the face of unimaginable evil, chose to save lives rather than take them. Thanks for watching. Please be kind to hit like and subscribe. Please also comment your idea on our video. I'm Mr. Boom Movie Explainer will bring your very best movie of all time to show you every day.